Starting with this right here, I am opening up, saying it out loud, letting the guard down, breaking that silence, and understanding that I am safe to break my silence. I am safe to be abundant. I am safe to be a prosperous woman, no matter what age we are. I am safe to thrive. And it's very liberating. It's very empowering. I'm grateful. I'm beyond grateful and blessed for these moments, because when I was in my 20s, I was thinking, I don't think I'm going to reach 40. With my actions, my train of thought, my self-destructive patterns, where my life was going, if I reach 40, it's going to be a miracle. I'm still being the miracle at almost 60. By the way, I'll be filling out the astrology that you asked me to fill out.
About your elemental survey.
Yeah.
There are thousands of variations within a chart. The chart is about self-establishment. It's about the treasure hunt of reclaiming your sovereignty. In an era where external validation dictates personal identity, the act of self-establishment is, for many people, unless they embrace and embody it, it's revolutionary. When we think we're born into this world as open vessels of experience, we're unformed in our deeper knowing. So our initial years are spent absorbing cultural, familial, and societal imprints, some of which align with our authentic selves, but others obscure our essence. From an evolutionary astrological perspective, there is this necessary tension of incarnation. The soul enters the human form, potentially with echoes of past life imprints, but the personality has to undergo individuation. So it's a treasure hunt, and it's a process of sorting, sifting, discerning, and ultimately forging a sense of self that is not dictated by transient influences, but grounded in deep truth. The way I see it, there are three paths or trajectories in terms of where we stand in the development of self-awareness. There is the path of reactive attachment to the unknown. We operate primarily in survival mode. We seek external validation, emotional gratification without a deeper understanding. So our lives are shaped more by circumstances than intentional direction. The second trajectory is drifting with shifting values. This is where you have a life that's shaped by societal trends and political expediencies and cultural fashions. So meaning remains fluid in this trajectory, which provides flexibility, but it often leads to a sense of disconnection and lack of rooted purpose. Whereas the self-established path is the journey of inner sovereignty, where your values, your standards, your principles, your purpose are chosen deliberately, and they're aligned with your higher sense of meaning. It's a path of self-responsibility and wisdom, but there is a distinction between these paths that isn't always clear-cut. And I think many of us oscillate between them throughout life. So the critical question for me is, at what point do we actively engage in shaping our path?
Wow, this is super interesting, profound. Wow. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely love it. I'm excited.
The other thing is there are many people who are seeking a map to guide their journey. When I look through the evolutionary astrology lens, and I think it's important, first of all, to say, what are we talking about? What is evolutionary astrology? It's a blueprint, the cosmic blueprint of your soul's intention at the moment you were born. It shows the energies you came into this life with, the lessons you're here to learn, and the gifts you have to share. It doesn't dictate how your life is going to unfold. It's a bit like saying, here's a musical instrument you're given at birth. Your chart tells you whether it's a violin, a drum, or a piano, but how you choose to play it is up to you. Some people play the same melody over and over again. They never step beyond what's familiar, whereas others experiment and explore and create
Yep.
something completely new. Your free will is the artist behind the music of your life.
Love it.
I want to thank you very much for sending me your details. You have a very interesting chart. Everybody has an interesting chart because, like I said, it's a unique blueprint. Let me ask you, when you look at your life so far, do you feel like you're playing a familiar tune, or do you feel like you're stepping into something new? How does that idea resonate with you?
I'm definitely stepping into something new ever since I hit my 50s. Before that, I was dancing at the beat of the same drum over and over and over. So the tune was not changing that much. Then again, of course, we experienced change, but in deeper aspects of my life, I was definitely with that same tune over and over, the repetition of the same thing until it was time to start dancing to the beat of a new drum. Yeah, absolutely. Been there, done that. But at this point of my life, definitely I am dancing to the beat of a new drum. Taking into consideration that I'm a very musical person, that resonated with me profoundly because I've been dancing for a very long time. I'm a professional dancer. I teach group fitness instruction and recently walked away from an environment that wasn't conducive to my progress. For me to do that felt good. I said to myself, pat yourself on the back because I stayed as long as I did, but it was the best thing that happened to get away from that environment because it has nothing to do with the essence of who I am. It was time for me to move on. Back in September, I was working at addiction centers for alcohol and drug abuse. It was almost 3 years of my life working as a massage therapist there. I was saying to myself, the time is coming for me to move on from this because I want to be in a healthier environment, involved in a healthier environment. I help as many thousands of people as I did, and I think this is going to be the end of the road for me very soon. That's exactly what happened. I was laid off from my job because of reduction of personnel. Everything happens for a reason, and in the way that it happened is, oh man, that's a little bit of shakeup, but I'm thankful it did because I moved on to something new, to something that is more in tune to what I want to do now in my present and for the rest of my life. And it's being in an environment that totally resonates with who I am, with the essence of who I am, of what I want to do with my work ethics. Ethics is very important, that it goes in conjunction with my moral compass, that I am in an environment of growth because otherwise I wouldn't be a massage therapist. We're always growing, learning, and in student mode. It has been a very interesting journey the past, I don't know, since September. Everything started to shift in what it is right now. I just took a new training as a group fitness instructor, something entirely new that I never experienced before at almost age 60, because I'm going to turn 60 this year. I say, you know what? Age is not a factor to go ahead and do new things. So I'm in the middle of that path right now. It's very interesting.
This is the crossroads of curiosity and conviction. Life often presents us with crossroads where one path seems familiar, worn by your experience, but the other beckons with questions we've never asked before. Some people are drawn to one or the other, but you seem to have spent your life balancing between these two forces in terms of the certainty of what you know and the curiosity that challenges it. So
Absolutely.
it's almost as if you've been a traveler gathering wisdom from past experience, but now you're being asked to engage more in dialogue rather than declarations. Your North Node, which is where you're moving towards, is in Gemini in your 10th house. What does that mean? It means you're being called to embrace curiosity, adaptability, and the exchange of ideas in your career and public life. Your South Node, which is to do with your past, indicates that you come from a past of holding strong beliefs and relying on deep philosophical or intellectual convictions. There's probably been a likely struggle between wanting certainty and learning to be open to new perspectives. This reinforces the theme of communication and weighing different viewpoints. Have you ever felt this inner tension between holding on to a belief and being open to changing your perspective? And how has this played out in your personal or professional life?
Definitely in the past, I really wanted to hold on to things that were not helping me in my growth and moving on in my life. It has everything to do with untreated childhood trauma. Just last week, I had a powerful life coaching session with these two psychotherapists from Louisiana. And I was like, what is it about financial issues that I've been so unstable financially for so long in my life? And they asked me a whole bunch of questions. My father's death had everything to do with it because my father died in his place of business, the place where I used to go as a child to be with him. This was their conclusion. And I totally agree that I was better off in a place of lack than in a place of abundance, because that place of abundance took my father's life. I was blown away. So there's a new mantra in my life. Yes, it's amazing. I am safe to succeed. I am safe to thrive. I am safe to be a successful person financially, because my father was the pillar of the household when it came to abundance financially. He was a very successful man. He worked very hard and he definitely achieved that success. But the place where he was most successful at, that was the place where his life was taken. Imagine that. And then me, especially in my little 8-year-old brain that didn't know how to process grief, because it was back in the early 70s. In my culture, you don't talk about the dead because that hurts too much. When it should have been the whole opposite. Everybody did whatever they could with the little tools they had. Starting with my poor mother, she fell into a depressive state that she never recovered from it. So in a way, I lost my father through violence. All the abundance was gone. Then I lost my father through my mother through her mental illness, because she was unavailable emotionally. She was totally unavailable and absent through this ordeal, through this stage of my life. And it lasted for a long time. It really clicked on me and hit home. I totally understand where all of this lack has come from. It was a defense mechanism, because if I get abundant, I may die. I may get killed like my father did. I may end up in a horrible place like he did. He was such a loving human being, a phenomenal man. And this was just last week. Imagine that. And they said, can we go live with this? I go live all you want. I don't have a problem with sharing these things, because it can help. I was way too comfortable being silent because that's all I heard. I was indoctrinated into it since my father's death. All of this silence and the lack, I kept it quiet until I said, okay, it's time to get out of this comfort zone and speak out, say what I need to say, do a chapter in a book at age 52. In my 50s, here I am in my last year of my 50s, and this decade has been nothing short of phenomenal, empowering, life-changing. When I was 50 till now that I'm going to be 60 is, wow, that is a total different human being right there. Starting with this right here, and I'm opening up, saying it out loud, letting the guard down, breaking that silence, and understanding that I am safe to break my silence. I am safe to be abundant. I am safe to be a prosperous woman, no matter what age we are. I am safe to thrive. And it's very liberating. It's very empowering. I'm grateful. I'm beyond grateful and blessed for these moments, because When I was in my 20s, I was thinking, I don't think I'm going to reach 40 with my actions, my train of thought, my self-destructive patterns, where my life was going. If I reach 40, it's going to be a miracle. I'm still being the miracle at almost 60. It's a blessing. We're all here for a reason, and I'm still here for a reason. And I wake up grateful every single day and say, oh my God, thank you, because I'm alive another day. And I don't take that lightly, Peter. I really don't. This is transformational, and definitely what I needed today, because I've been under the weather. Well, I think I'm catching something, but I've been under the weather and overwhelmed with many things that are going on right now, work-wise, because I do a lot of volunteering, but it's taking a lot of my time. I'm a canine massage therapist, licensed massage therapist, and then with my massage therapist clients, they've been, most of them this week, they've been under a lot of tragedy, grief, loss. And I'm like, okay, I got to let go of this, because I'm in direct contact with these people, with these hands. So their energy feels are, I am feeling it all. It's time to do some Reiki, meditation, prayer. I know it's okay, I'm about to get a cold, but all of this energy is really coming in through this. Let me just take a breather, take good care of myself, have a good night's sleep, which I have. I'm very happy about that. And you. So this is phenomenal. I'm grateful.
It's the weight of responsibility versus the desire for freedom. If you imagine a dancer balancing on a tightrope, on one side, there's structure and discipline and responsibility. You have to step carefully and be measured to ensure stability. But on the other, there's the call of the unknown, the need to move freely, to improvise without the fear of falling. In your journey, it seems like as you've carried both, perhaps feeling the weight of responsibility in ways others haven't, but also carrying a quiet longing for something more fluid, more intuitive. This suggests a deep emotional need to create something meaningful, but with a sense of responsibility rather than pure joy. You may feel pressure to maintain control over your emotions and creative expression, but there are karmic lessons around surrendering control and trusting the unknown and emotional healing. You may have felt like life required you to be the responsible one, the one to hold things together, even in moments where you longed for emotional freedom.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is happening now, but this may have happened at some point in your life. You've had to trust in life's unfolding. Do you feel like life has asked you to be the one holding everything together? And if so, how do you balance that with your aspirations?
Yes, definitely. When I became a mother of two, I was the one holding everything together, making sure that everything was running as best as possible. Everything around me was pretty much falling apart, because I had a relationship with a man that was abusive, and he was a drug addict until the day he died. Dealing with these things, here we go again. This takes me back, straight back to my childhood, that my father died in a violent way, and my mother, in her mental illness, she was a very violent woman as well. So what did I do? I went off to have relationships with people with addictive personalities. So with this individual, rest in peace, I was keeping it all together when everything was falling apart, basically. Yeah,
So interesting, because you mentioned that you were 50 and you're moving into the ebbing phase. The tide is now going out. As the tide goes out, you have more horizon thinking. When you're in your 20s and 30s, the waves are coming in and you're splashing around in the surf without a care about anything in the world.
That's right.
But as the tide goes out, as the ebbing starts to happen, there are pointers that become much more prevalent on your radar. Things like mobility, fitness, cognition, all these things. But I think for you, it seems that transformation is happening beneath the surface. If you've ever watched a river carve its way through rock, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly over time. The water finds its path. It shapes even the most solid foundation. And some
Mhm.
changes in life are like that. They're subtle but powerful. So
Yeah.
your journey seems to hold this theme of deep internal transformation, even if on the surface things appear stable, there
Mhm.
seems to be a current reshaping your internal landscape. This signals very deep internal transformations around things like self-worth, material stability, and personal values. The chart shows a lot of transformation happening beneath the surface in private emotional realms, family dynamics, and deep psychological work. You may not
Mhm.
always notice how much you've changed over time because your transformations happen internally and gradually, much like water carving through rock. So,
Right.
have there been moments where you realized you were not the same person you used to be, even if you couldn't pinpoint when the change happened?
Yes, it happened, like you were saying, in my 20s. I was splashing around a lot all the way to age 32 when I gave birth to my son. And the splashing became a wave. It was a high tide and the low tide. The splashing stopped. It was like in an instant. It was time to stop thinking about me and whatever I was doing with my life. The party stopped and the responsibility started. The responsibility for another human being, which I'm very grateful for because my two kids really helped me carve a new pathway to understand that life is not about my pity party, my sorrow, being the victim of everybody because I was my mother's victim for a very long time. And I was, here we go with the blame game that, oh, this is because of my mom and it's because of him and because of the other ones. No, we are responsible for our own actions. That was a hit on the head the moment I became a mother. Is okay, the time of the splashing around came to an end. It's time to become a better person, not only for me, but for that little kid that is defenseless. Even though I was around a turmoil of being in an on and off relationship with an addict, we had two children together, but in between the two, we were on and off and on and off and on and off. So I was dealing with that horrible turmoil, with that horrible current, those riptides that we don't know they're coming, but they're there. You don't see them until you are in it. So those riptides of figuring out how to be a better version of myself when it came to motherhood. How am I going to become a better mother if I cannot become a better me? So it was time to become a better version of myself. And that is when I started drifting away from this person. Is wow, where I used to be with this person, it's not that it was just not conducive to my progress anymore. I am not going to follow this path anymore because it has been of total self-destruction until that point. It is like, how long am I going to be in this path to self-destruction without my kids being affected? That is not real. When you are in a household and there's these situations going on, everybody gets the blunt of it. And my poor kids, they did get a blunt of it until it was time to come to a full stop. But this was a gradual thing. It was years upon years. And then when it came for a full stop is when I finally grabbed my two kids with $89 in my bank account in a very crappy car. And I said, I'd rather sleep under a bridge with my kids in a car than be with this person one more second of my life. It was amazing. Thankfully, I have support. I got out of my comfort zone and I asked for help and I asked for support. That was a big deal because here I was so insecure, shame, insecurity, low self esteem, believing that I was not worth anybody's help or time. Here we go straight back to my father's absence when he died and my mother's being unavailable emotionally.
Mm.
So, in a big way, it took me straight back to my childhood trauma. When I broke that generational trauma of I'm going to get help. I have support. I have people that believe in me in many ways more than I believe in myself. At least at that point, a whole new door opened. A whole new door opened, and that door opened, and I never closed it. It's like, okay, let the doors keep on opening, and I am not gonna go back to where I used to be. I'll do everything myself because I don't think I'm worth anybody's time. So it's been a powerful ride, and it's been long, and if that's the path that is chosen for me, I will take it any day. Life
And
is about lessons.
you're trying to recorrect the previous generation in your lineage could not get to for whatever reason.
Right.
So you're recorrecting and realigning that. The way that you now interact with your kids is going to be different from the way that your parents interacted with you. There's a
Yes.
recorrection there. You have the gift and the challenge of intensity in your relationships. For some people, they dip their toes into emotional connections, others dive straight into the depths. Your way seems to be one of intensity because you don't just wade in, you explore the hidden caves beneath the surface. Now,
Right.
this depth can be a gift because it can bring richness and meaning to relationships, but it can also create challenges, especially if others aren't prepared to go as deep as you do. With Venus and Mars in Scorpio, you've likely experienced relationships with great depth and intensity because you don't just seek connection, you are seeking a soul level bond.
Absolutely.
But the challenge is this may sometimes blur the boundaries or create emotional idealism that can lead to disappointment. So relationships for you might be an all or nothing experience,
Absolutely.
making it challenging when others cannot meet you at the same depth. And you just told me the story of your first relationship and he was abusive and he was a drug addict. So I can
Mm-hmm.
see that. Now, I wanted to touch on something else that I looked at. And I'm really giving you an overview here without going too deep into everything. I'm looking at expression and the power of words because many people build bridges with their words while others create walls. Your journey seems to ask you to do the former, to build bridges, to use communication as a tool for connection, to express what others might struggle to put into words. And sometimes knowing the right words can also come with the challenge of something I experience of overthinking or of
Mm-hmm.
feeling the need to always maintain harmony in conversations. Now, within your chart, it indicates that communication and intellectual exchange are central to your identity. However, there is also a desire for harmony, which makes it difficult for you to be fully self expressed or have strong opinions or challenge others. You are here to learn how to communicate in a way that builds bridges, but also to ensure that you don't silence your own truth to keep the peace.
Right.
Have you ever struggled with speaking your truth versus keeping the peace?
Oh, definitely. For a very long time, I was a yes person when I should have said no many years. I was a people pleaser. I was really over mixing being a helper because I've always been doing service, helping others. I'm a massage therapist. I help people feel better and I help people and animals have better quality of life. And definitely I was in the path of helping others and not helping myself, starting with saying yes way too much for a very long time. For decades of my life, I was the over yes sayer without a doubt. I'm a sexual assault survivor, I'm a sexual violence survivor, and I was sexually harassed a lot in the job. I will always go in shock and mute myself. And here we go again, going back to that silence. I was brought up with. But then just in recent years, and this started at age 52, actually, here we go with my 50s. This started at age 52. That was one of the last times that I was sexually harassed in the job. And I spoke up. And I went out of my comfort zone to speak up. Here we go with the speaking up and saying, I have had it. I am done with this pattern of silencing myself, even though I know it's wrong. It was just a horrible circumstance in the place of my job. And the last 2 times that I was sexually harassed, I said, I am done with this. I am comfortable. This is wrong. And I want everybody else to know it. And this is when I'm starting to feel really good about saying no, really satisfied about speaking my gut and my heart out. I think it's a beautiful thing. And really, I don't really say to myself, oh, I wish I did this before. It's like, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. And that's that. But that is not my case anymore. When it's time to say no is a beautiful sentence. Yes, no is a sentence. And I am very happy about that, Peter. Yeah, I lived many decades of my life being a people pleaser, saying yes when I should say no, shutting up because I don't want to offend this one or that one, especially when I was in a relationship full with domestic abuse. Oh, when my mother, my sister, they will hear it on the phone because they live in Puerto Rico and I live here in the US. They always knew, but I never said anything. Never said anything. And it's the typical battered woman syndrome that, oh no, everything is fine. No, it was never fine. I started to see myself in other women's mirrors when they will come to my table and I will see the bruises and I touch her, I massage her, and I went in a total burnout because this woman, she was the reflection of me. I saw myself in her mirror and she had bruises. So the bruising all over the arm, the shoulder, the side of her body, the side of her thigh. Oh my God, I see myself in her mirror. And that moment, I don't remember her name, but I hope she's okay. I pray for her. That was a moment that I said, I cannot do this anymore. That was one of those pivotal moments that the message is so loud and clear when you see yourself at such close range from your own experience through the eyes of someone else. That was very powerful and heart-wrenching at the same time. Coming back to my 50s, when I'm starting to embrace my no's, no is beautiful, no is powerful, and saying it out loud is, no, I am not comfortable with this. I am not okay with this. It's not okay in my life. This is not okay, period. If it means you don't talk to me again, you don't want to see my face again, I am totally okay with that. I can love you from a distance, not a problem. Yeah.
Well, coming into your 50s, I'd have to look deeper into your chart, but this is what's called the Saturn return. The Saturn return is a major transit that happens when Saturn completes its approximately 29.5-year orbit, and it returns to the exact position it occupied at your birth. It marks significant life transitions, challenges, and personal growth. So for you, this will be the time in your 50s until you're 60. It will be a time of reevaluation, cultivating wisdom, and restructuring before entering the elder phase. Saturn is the planet of discipline, responsibility, and karma. So its return forces you to face reality, take responsibility, align with your true purpose. And what it often ushers in is career shifts, relationship changes, and deep inner growth. If I come to using the ocean analogy, because I'm looking at as well as the dance between security and change, which many of us go through. But if you imagine standing on a shoreline, you're watching the waves come in. Some of those waves will bring you comfort. They'll bring you a rhythm you can count on. Others just come crashing in and they reshape the sand beneath your feet. Your journey seems to be one of learning when to stand firm and when to let the tide take you somewhere new. This means your sense of security is deeply tied to transformation, You may have experienced very sudden shifts in finances, values, or stability. The suggestion in your chart is you are learning and aligning how to navigate the unknown, particularly around emotional and financial dependencies. So it's learning when to hold on to stability and when to embrace transformation, much like standing at that shoreline watching the waves. Have you had moments where life pushed you to let go of stability in favor of transformation? And if so, what did those moments teach you about yourself?
Yes, definitely. I have to let go of some financial stability in order to have transformation. This happened almost at the end of 2024 when it was time to let go of a place that was not serving me any better. And I just let go of another source of income a week ago. I let go of this source of income because the way this place was operating, definitely I didn't relate. There were shady things going on. I asked for some official paperwork for my taxes, and what was delivered to me, my accountant said, "What the hell is this?" And I said, "I have no idea." So it was time for me to let go of that other source of income that was coming to me on a monthly basis, because it's time for me to embrace something new and better that I do deserve, something conducive to my progress in life, something good for my transformation as a woman and as a professional. And I just met phenomenal people that they want my services. I have waited for a specific job that I wanted somewhere. This was years ago. I waited a year to get in this place. And from time to time will be, "Hey, if you need my help, I'm here." I have gone through this before. And this is exactly the approach that I'm going to do to this new opportunity that it just knocked on my door. Yes, there's a waiting period. I am okay with that. I can wait all you want. But it was time to let go of that wave that was splashing on my feet, things that were not conducive to my growth and my progress. I love what I did. Thank you so much. When I walk away, especially when it comes to jobs and people of this matter, I don't walk away with a fight. I don't walk away leaving a bad mark. I walk away quietly and in peace, and always in appreciation for the time that I was there. It's like, thank you so much for the time I was here, but it's time for me to move on to something else. And thank you. And I'm always grateful. And I walk away as peacefully as I can. And no, I'm going to walk away from this conflict, because when there's no need of conflict with something, especially your departure from somewhere, it's okay. And I love to do that. Is thank you for everything. This was great, but it's time for me to move on to something else. There's no animosity here. I said what I needed to say. I spoke to this person and I said, "This is not right. And this is my discomfort, but I'm still grateful that I was here." And that's it. No animosity, no fight, no gossip, because I'm not into that kind of drama, definitely. But now, exactly at this point, I am moving on onto something better. And I know that from the bottom of my heart, I am going to keep on moving on to something better and better. I am trusting the wave that will take me to where I'm supposed to be, where I am meant to be. Definitely. My self-worth has been growing extensively in this decade. So it's been phenomenal. Yeah.
You have Leo in your ascendant. You are a natural leader, but your leadership comes through vulnerability. There's a common belief that strength comes from holding it all together, from showing up as one who has all the answers. But true leadership comes from the willingness to be seen in our vulnerability, to let others witness the journey, not just the destination. Your Leo ascendant gives you a natural presence, a leadership quality that draws attention. But there's always a but.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
The suggestion here, because you've got Saturn in Pisces in the eighth house, is real leadership will come through surrender and emotional vulnerability as distinct from just confidence or control. So
Mhm.
your journey may involve stepping into leadership in a way that requires openness, trust, and allowing others to see your full journey, not just the polished version. My question is, do you feel that life has asked you to step into leadership in ways that have required you to show up differently than you expected? And if this is the case, how has that shaped the way you see yourself today?
Oh my goodness. That is exactly the way it has been ever since I wrote a chapter on a book, letting everything out, breaking my silence from many decades. I didn't know what I was stepping into. I thought I had an idea, and I had no comprehension of how powerful this journey is turning out to be. Every single time, I'm even more surprised, but I'm grateful and I'm very happy about that. When I broke my silence through my chapter, I remember that the publishing company told me, if you want to get to the masses with your powerful story, you have to speak up. You have to speak up and go to people, go to groups. I'm not ready for none of this. This is when a mentor of mine recommended to me Toastmasters International, a powerful platform of leadership, communication, and speaking. I've been 3 years a Toastmaster already. And little did I know that this turn of events will lead me to be a speaker, an educator, helping others. It will lead me to building a beautiful website. It will lead me to my business called Wounded Healer, actually. This is very curious because my website, the first thing that you see on my website, it says vulnerability is power. To me, I had a big taste of being on the whole opposite side of being vulnerable, of letting the guard down. I was in the world of silence for over 40 years of my life, of total silence until this chapter in a book came out, that I let the guard down, that I started talking, and it has taken me straight to where I am now, which is expressing vulnerability. And vulnerability really is powerful. I am more empowered through my vulnerable moments than I ever was through my silence. And definitely it's been transformational. It keeps on transforming me. I am learning. I love to be in student mode. I love to learn every single aspect of this journey. Is like, this is another lesson and this is another lesson. I'll take it. It's taking me to where I'm going to go for the rest of my life. My beloved husband, he's a beautiful soul, an amazing human being. My husband says, you know what, lady, as long as you have a brain and a voice, you will never run out of things to say, and you will never run out of work. I don't see myself ever retiring. This is something that I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I didn't know where writing a chapter in a book would take me. It's like I went into the unknown and I just jumped, and here I am. And that's exactly what I did. I jumped. I said, enough with the silence, enough with going around this vicious circle. That's a musical too. It doesn't change. That it's just that tempo just keep on going and going, and it doesn't change. It's like it's time to change the tempo. It's time to change the musical instrument. It's time to let go of receiving that same wave. It's time to stop splashing around like I did in my 20s, not knowing which direction I'm going, and get used to a new tide. Go with the high tide, go with the low tide, and swim through it. Definitely.
You're talking about the healing power of trust. If you think about a seed buried in the soil, deep in the soil, it doesn't resist the darkness. It trusts that the right time will come for it to break through and reach the light. In so many ways, growth requires trust. Trust in timing, trust in yourself, trust in something greater. Your soul is learning lessons around trust, trusting in yourself, trusting others, trusting the universe. Like that seed buried in the soil, your greatest growth comes from surrendering. And I do battle with the word surrendering. I like to think of it as choice, from making the choice or surrendering to divine timing. Have you had to learn to trust in ways that challenge your natural instincts? And what has trust, whether in yourself or in relationships or in your purpose, taught you?
The first person that I learned to trust, that I had to, it was my obligation towards myself. The first person that I learned to trust is me, because I didn't really trust in my own decisions, because I made so many decisions out of impulses, and the impulses were not necessarily the best ones. So the first person that I needed to start to trust was me, and then definitely a new door open of trusting the process, trusting supporters, trusting my mentors, trusting as I speak my mind more, new doors will open or close, and it's okay. It's very important that it's okay whether this happens or not. It's okay, because when one door closes, a window will open. Getting used to that mindset was challenging for a long time, because I was a person that everybody depended on, whether I was messing it up or not, everybody was depending on me to make it work, because I was around turmoil for so long. The first person that I learned to trust is myself, and still mistakes are made. We are not perfect beings, but there's gotta be a lesson on all of this. There always is a lesson on all of it. If we only open our eyes, ears, and our mind and pay attention, there's always a lesson behind being stuck, listening to that same tempo over and over, and getting out of the tempo and saying, and getting in tune with another beat of another musical instrument, without a doubt.
Which really leads to your whole evolution of self-worth.
Yeah.
And what I would call soul esteem rather than just self-esteem. Many a time we measure our worth by external achievements or how much we've built, how much we've given, how much we've been recognized. Self-worth to me is an inside job. It's an internal knowing that isn't swayed by circumstance. Your journey seems to ask you to redefine what value means, not just in material terms, but in how you see yourself. There's a suggestion of deep transformation around self-worth. You may have felt like you've had to earn love or validation. You may have had to redefine your worth beyond achievements or external validation. But have there been moments where you had to reframe your sense of worth and step into a new way of valuing yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I have. The first thing when I started to reevaluate my choices and actions and stop relying on external validation, that was the moment new doors definitely open. And I live many years of my life with lack of validation. My mother, my poor mother, in her chronic untreated mental illness, will say 1 minute, oh, you're capable of everything in life, and just turn around 1 minute later and say, you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're a nobody, you're a low life. So I live in that world. It was a bowl of confusion. It's okay, am I worth something or am I worth nothing? Is what the hell is going on here? Make up your freaking mind, woman. And she never did make up her mind. And I was relying way too much on outside validation. Oh, you are great. Oh, you do this. And maybe because of the lack of it, or maybe because of the ball of confusion that I was living in, I was too reliant on people telling me, oh, you're doing great on this, and to have that dopamine rush. And it was momentary, because we all know that dopamine rush is a momentary thing until the next dopamine rush that comes. So when I started to understand that I cannot be expecting a round of applause for every single thing that I do. And when nobody is applauding, it's time for me to look at myself in the mirror and say, hey, lady, I think you did good today. That is when a door closes, a window will open. And that small window started opening of not really needing anybody's validation. Validation is important because we are beings of his. Hey, if somebody give us a mention for the hard work that we do, it's like, okay, thank you. I love that. Thank you so much. But when I am here on my office, the endless nights, the days of hard work, and nobody mentions me, that's not going to stop me from where I want to be. That's not going to stop me from all the things that I'm doing that I will keep on doing, regardless of receiving an applause from someone, because the results will still be there. And I will definitely say, oh my God, I am grateful for me because I am working so hard and I'm so happy to do it. Not that I am being sad about it, heartbroken about it, that I'm working so hard and nobody sees it. I don't care. Bring the violin out, poor little me. Not at all. I can be in front of this computer in the middle of the night. My husband is happily sleeping and he's okay. When I am done for this day, I am just going and sleep happily because I conquered the day. One day after the other, no need for anybody's applause to keep on doing so one day after the other. It's a whole different ball game from my days of, oh my God, nobody told me anything about this or what I'm wearing. Oh my God, as a woman, nobody complimented me on this. Why not? Am I invisible? That's how insecure. I was in a world of insecurity. Am I invisible? And it's because I felt invisible the moment that my father died and my mother went through that deep depression where she never came out from. So yeah, straight back to where I used to be and to what it is now, breaking that horrible generational trauma, breaking those patterns of I need validation from others to feel good. I don't need any validation from no one anymore. I'm good. I validate myself, so that's what matters.
So interesting because this all reflects in your chart. When I look at all the different aspects, and there's so much more we could go into, but I'm just wary of time as well. Drawing out some of the essential themes of your journey and your karmic patterns and growth opportunities, there is a richness, a multi-layered narrative filled with a lot of contrasts and deep transformative potential in your chart. If you think of the North Node and South Node as two sides of your soul's journey, like a past and a future, guiding you at the same time, though, the South Node represents your habits and your strengths and patterns from your earlier life or from past lives. Feel familiar, almost like a muscle memory, what you've already mastered. But if you rely on it too much, it can hold you back. The North Node, on the other hand, is like a compass. It's pointing towards your soul's growth. It's unfamiliar, sometimes uncomfortable, but it's where you experience the most evolution. If you imagine you spent lifetimes as a teacher, always delivering knowledge to others, but now your soul wants you to become a student again, to stay curious, to listen more than you speak. That's the kind of shift the nodes ask us to make. Have you ever felt pulled between what's comfortable and what feels like an exciting but uncertain path? And if you have, how do you usually navigate those moments?
This is something that I learned in my dancing days. I'm still dancing to this day. I've been over 40 years of doing some kind of fitness and professional dancing. I love the variety of dancing because it keeps me curious. It keeps me learning. I come back to my massage therapy days. I've been a massage therapist 20 years of my life, and it keeps me curious. It keeps me getting out of my comfort zone, and it keeps me in student mode. I love these crafts because of the variety of learning mode, feeding my brain with something new. As much as I love, let's say, having financial stability, the truth is that as a massage therapist and a fitness instructor, dancer, whatever the case may be, there's no such thing as you're going to be in only one line and that's all you're going to get. There's going to be the ups, there's going to be the downs, there's going to be the stability. Oh, okay, this is like my regulars. Oh, I have regular people, but life gets lifing. I've been on a wave when it comes to being a student, a teacher, a master, and a learner. I've been in that wave for a very long time. I wouldn't change that for a thing. It keeps my mind open. It keeps me going with that flow of the tide and getting out of that beat, the beats, the same beats, and learning more and more that there's so many other beats that you can use with the same musical instrument. It has kept me afloat even when I thought I was drowning. It's like when I had my water up to here that I thought I was drowning, that was the one mindset that kept me afloat of, okay, go ahead and learn something new. Because if you don't, you're going to stay where you are. When I went to school for massage therapy, I was 38 years old in a house plagued with domestic abuse and 2 little kids, and everything was falling apart. It's like, no, I'm going back to school. I'm going back to school because I want more for my life. And I don't know where this is taking me, but I am going to go for it. And definitely all of these years later, massage therapy in a big way has helped me open a new door to speak about massage therapy, to speak about wellness, to speak about how healthy it is to be a student, to learn something new every day and learn it as if you are going to teach it. That is what Toastmasters is teaching me every single time. It is pretty interesting.
This is the call of the open road versus the familiar hearth. You've got curiosity and adaptability in teaching versus certainty, rigid beliefs, and preaching. Let's imagine a traveler who spent many years journeying across vast lands, accumulating wisdom, exploring culture, forming beliefs about the world. That traveler is confident in what they know. They've seen it all, they've experienced life's great truths, they carry the weight of their convictions. But now the road ahead's different because it isn't about the distances or grand discoveries. It's about walking into a bustling town square and listening to the voices of others and learning to exchange ideas in real time. For you, it's no longer being the solo traveler imparting wisdom. You're being asked to become a bridge builder, a communicator, a listener. This is the shift that your soul is making from the lone sage to the engaged, curious conversationalist and leadership. This is the difference between being the scholar and the storyteller. Take someone who studies alone in the library, thumbing through the books, looking at scholarly texts, and then look at the person who stands in the town square, engaging others in conversation. Your south node, what you're familiar with in Sagittarius, suggests that you spent lifetimes or part of this life developing deep philosophical truths, perhaps even in private or with a small trusted circle. There is wisdom here. There's a wellspring of knowledge, but the world is asking something new of you. Instead of holding on to one big truth, you are being asked to be the marketplace of ideas, exchanging, adapting, playing with language, leadership, and connection, because your impact isn't just in what you know, it's in how you share, how you invite others into the conversation. So, do you feel that your ideas and wisdom have often been personal or internal rather than shared openly? And what would it feel like to step more fully into using your voice in the public square?
Coming from a world of silence and transitioning, I was this certain way, and then the next minute I am a whole different person. No, this has been a big transition for a very long time, years of transitioning into being the one in that public square speaking my heart out, I'd rather be at the public square. And going to the library and learning from books, it takes you only to a certain limit. You will only go so far by learning things with books. I love books. Don't take me wrong. I love books. But I have a great teacher of mine that says, knowledge is power, but the application of the knowledge, that is the real power. So whatever it is that I have learned in my life, I believe the more I express it, the more I talk about it, the more of a higher purpose there is. It's a purpose that is bigger than myself, and is the purpose of helping others to improve their quality of life, no matter what age we are. At a later age, I have gone into a great evolution. At a later age, I am shining with my own light. At a later age, I am thriving to really pursue what is coming next in my life. And I am not going to stop until it's achieved in different ways, because it's not the achievement is, oh, I achieved this and I am done. No, this is one achievement after the other, because every single one is different. Definitely. So
Yeah.
I'm in that realm, definitely.
It's important to note your South Node, because people listening to this might think, oh, the South Node's bad. There's nothing bad in a chart. There are no bad charts. And your South Node isn't something to leave behind. It's something to integrate, because the beliefs and the wisdom and the personal philosophies you've cultivated are still valuable. Instead of keeping them locked away or using them as rigid rules, they're meant to be tools that help you navigate in an ever-changing world. So if you think of it like having a sturdy backpack filled with essentials, your journey ahead requires you to be light-footed, adaptable, and versatile. But that doesn't mean you abandon everything you've learned. It means
Right.
you use it wisely, knowing when to rely on experience and when to embrace something new.
Yeah.
This is the need in your South Node for a safe inner world before public expression.
Definitely.
So, are there any ways that you see your past experiences or beliefs as an asset rather than a liability? And how can you use what you already know while remaining open to learning?
For the many years that my past experiences were liability, that I turn it into not being useful for really much on those dark days and very confusing seasons of my life, I see all of my experiences, everything happened for a reason. I see it as lessons of life. I see it as assets. I see it as, in many ways, blessings, even. Oh my God, what it used to be and what it is now. I see it as blessings. It has helped me tremendously in my growth to understand that was then. And whatever happened is part of my experience as an individual. But now it's definitely an asset, is a gift. I'm even grateful for the lessons that I receive over and over. And once we exercise gratitude for the simplest things that we have in life, or whatever we didn't have because it wasn't the moment at that time, it really works out. And for everybody that is in the slightest doubt that everything is supposed to be suffering and pain, that is absolutely not true. There's a lesson of growth in every single thing. And the trail will lead us back again to square one. But what are we going to do with that square one? Are we going to embrace it and say, hey, I learned something new about this? Or are we going to be dwelling on it like I did for many years of my life? That was a dark season of my life, dwelling, and it was a liability. Everything was bad. And why me? Why me? How many times? Why me? Here we go again. The same beat, the same boring instrument. When that same boring instrument can become a whole different beat.
Talking about the North Node, where you're moving towards, which is in your 10th house, the calling is to share ideas publicly, to become that leader through vulnerability, communication, curiosity. When you watch kids, you can see the endless curiosity, asking questions, playing with ideas, seeing the world through fresh eyes. So your North Node is in Gemini, asking you to reconnect with that spirit, especially in your career and public role. You are meant to be a messenger, a connector of ideas, and someone who brings fresh perspectives to the world. The shift here is realizing that your contribution doesn't have to be heavy or burdened by responsibility. It can be light, it can be playful, it can be exploratory instead of delivering profound monologues. You're here to engage in dialogue, and instead of having all the answers, you're here to ask better questions. Have you ever felt that your work or role in the world carries a weight of expectation? And what would it feel like to bring more curiosity and lightness into how you engage with your career or public life?
I am a very curious person. It is said that curiosity killed the cat. Is cats have 7 or 9 lives. I embrace my curiosity all the time. My curiosity has taken me to trouble, and my curiosity has given me many blessings in my life. I am still a very curious woman. Here I am in my very late 50s and still embracing my curiosity. People say, oh, you have such a young soul. No, I don't have no young soul. This is who I am. This is the essence of who I am. I love curiosity. To me, having a monotonous life is staying in that one tune. And a tune is, oh, this is what I know, and this is what I'm going to stick to. I have heard many elders back in the day, they used to say, I know everything there is to know about life. That is limiting. That is not true. We don't know anything there is to know about life. I don't know how many lifetimes it will take to one person to try to know everything. I don't want to know everything. That is a lot of pressure. I got to know about science because this person is a scientist and I have to have a full conversation about science when I don't really know anything about science. How about changing the mindset a little bit and saying, hey, tell me about science. I want to learn. How about switching a little bit into feeding that curiosity rather than the mindset of, oh, I know everything there is to know about life. There's so many things that I have no comprehension or clue about, and it's okay. Wherever we go in this life, this is where we're meant to be. But let me tell you something, student mode and feeding your curiosity is the way to go. Never let go of that child side of you that wants to feed curiosity. I've been a nosy kid since I was a little kid. I got in trouble because I was nosy. I was questioning everything. I was nosy and I wanted to be part of everybody's conversation. And I got in trouble, but I never let go of that. It got me in trouble. I don't care how much trouble it took me. I still, to this day, I'm curious and I will never let go of my curiosity and being in student mode and learning something new. And hey, what are you doing? Tell me, what are you doing? So yeah, that's me. Definitely.
That shows there's that shift within you throughout your life from seeking the ultimate truth to embracing the beauty of ongoing discovery. It's like reading a book. It's not just about getting to the final chapter, but it's to enjoy each page along the way. Life is not about arriving at one great unshakable belief. It's about staying engaged, adjusting to new knowledge and allowing curiosity to guide us. The world needs people like you. The world needs people who can adapt, who can communicate across differences, who can bring people together through dialogue as distinct from division. This is the gift of your North Node, to be that bridge between perspectives, to be the translator of ideas, to be the guide who doesn't indoctrinate or dictate, but invites others into the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more there is a conversation, the more we can learn from each other. Yeah.
Exactly. In summary, your chart tells the story of a soul that has spent many lifetimes seeking wisdom and understanding and life's grand truths in deep conviction. But this time around, your journey is different. Your soul isn't here to stand on the mountaintop as a solitary sage. It's here to walk among people, ask questions, exchange ideas, and embrace the beauty of curiosity. This is calling you towards adaptability, openness, and communication. Your career and public life are meant to be places where you share your ideas, to invite dialogue. This is a lifetime of learning and alignment. There's no single way, only the willingness to evolve, stay open, and to connect with others in a way that creates understanding as distinct from division. So your journey is really about balancing what you know with what you still have to discover, and shifting from delivering answers to asking better questions, embracing the joy of learning, the power of connection, and the freedom that comes with letting go of certainty and stepping into exploration.
Thank you.
Do you have any final words, and where can people find out about your work?
Yes, you can find me on www.woundedhealer.us. And definitely to all the listeners out there, feed your curiosity. Be always open to learn something new. To always be in student mode. Let go to what is not conducive to your life. And remember, life is about seasons. Life is about change. Change is a constant, and change is here to stay. So the more in learning mode we are, the better off you will be. And thank you for having me, Peter. This has been just amazing.
Thank you, Blanca, for being open to this exploration today. It takes courage to look at our patterns, to reflect on our soul's journey, and to consider new ways of being. And I really do appreciate your willingness to share and to reflect and to engage in this process of self-discovery. Remember that your chart's not a fixed fate. It's an invitation. It's a love letter from the cosmos. Every day you have the power to shape how you step into your path. And I really trust that this conversation has given you some insights and some clarity, and maybe even a sense of excitement about where your soul is leading you next.
Absolutely. I'm super excited myself.
How have you experienced the conversation today?
Oh, it was wonderful. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Peter.
You're most welcome.
It's lovely to see you again and be in your presence again. I love this. And any other time that you want me around, I am more than willing to do.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Blanca.
Thank you, Peter.
Take care.
Sending you a big hug. Take care.
You too. For those of you listening, if anything in this conversation resonated with you, if you've ever felt like you're repeating certain patterns, or if you're wondering what the deeper meaning behind your life's journey might be, I invite you to explore your own chart. Evolutionary astrology isn't about predicting the future. It's about empowering you to step into the fullest version of yourself with clarity and purpose. If you're curious, I offer a free consultation. This isn't a sales pitch in disguise. It's an opportunity to explore what's coming up for you and see if diving deeper into your chart is the right path. My goal is simply to help people reconnect with their soul's wisdom and gain insight into the patterns shaping their lives. If you would like to book a free consultation, I'd love to connect with you. We'll take a look at what's showing up in your life and what your soul might be asking of you, and whether an evolutionary astrology reading could help bring clarity to your journey. No pressure, no obligation, just a conversation that might offer you the insight you've been looking for.